Hi friends, welcome back to Inspo English. Friends, today I'm going to discuss a very important chapter portion in grammar, that is direct and indirect speech. As a teacher, I know that standard 8, 9 and 10 they have questions based on direct and indirect speech, and the question paper is mainly focused on application level questions on direct and indirect speech. And coming to direct and indirect speech, the teachers as well as the students, they are confused as to how to explain the concept of direct and indirect speech. So I think this video will be very useful to the students and the teachers. Let's come to the concept of that is direct and indirect speech. See, direct speech means you caught the exact words of the speaker and communicate something to a third person. You listen something from a person or you read something from a book and you caught the exact words of the speaker and communicate to a third person. That means you don't have any right to make any change. That's why we have it in a double inverted commas. Okay? You mark it out, because you are borrowing the words of the speaker and communicate to the third person. Whereas in indirect speech, you have freedom. As an individual, you have your own words and style. And you just communicate the content, the idea of what the speaker said using your own words and style. And that is indirect speech. You are indirectly communicating what the speaker said to a third person. Okay, I think it's very clear. See, I have drawn a few stick figures here to make it very clear to you. Come to that. See, the speaker. So there is always a speaker. The speaker speaks and the listener listens. And there is a third person to whom the second person, the listener, report. Okay, the listener turns out to be the reporter. And when he or she reports, he or she can do it in two ways. One is direct and the other one is indirect. Okay, I repeat. See, the speaker speaks, the listener listens, and the listener turns out to be the reporter. And when he or she reports, he or she can do it in two different ways. One is direct reporting and the other one is indirect reporting. Usually teachers and students understand it as, okay, the speaker speaks to a second person and the second person reports to the third person. Basically the concept is correct, but this explanation which I give will be very useful to understand the concept of what is direct and indirect. Okay, there is a speaker, the speaker speaks, the listener listens, and the listener turns out to be the reporter, and the reporter can do it in two ways. One is using the exact words of the speaker, that is direct speech, and the other one is using his own words and style, and that is indirect speech. I have noted it down here. Indirect speech, the speaker uses the exact words of the speaker. And in indirect speech, the speaker uses his own words and style. Let's see an example. Okay. Direct speech. The example, the teacher said, If you do smart work, you will succeed. These days, we don't do any hard work. Okay? There is no use in doing hard work. That is useless to a certain extent. We have to do smart work. That means intelligent work. So the teacher said, you do smart work, you will succeed. And see, let's bring this sentence to a classroom situation. Okay, in a particular class, the teacher says to his or her students, if you do smart work, you will succeed. And see, the speaker is the teacher, and the listeners are the students. Anyway, a particular student of that class reports what the teacher said to another student in a different class. And then she can do it in two ways. One is quoting the exact words of the teacher, and the other one is using her own or his own words and style. Let's come to the example. Okay, the teacher has said, if you do smart work, you will succeed. So the student reports using the exact words of the speaker. Let's see how she would do that. Friends, today you know what the teacher said to us in our class? She said, if you do smart work, you will succeed. See, he quoted the exact words of the teacher. Where is the other way of reporting? Friends, see, you know what our teacher said to us in our class today? She said that if we did smart work, we would succeed. Okay, of course, there are other rules and regulations that you have to keep in your mind when you change a sentence from direct to indirect. This video is just to explain the concept of what is direct and indirect speech. I think it's very clear to you. I can just recollect it once again for you, and that is, see, there is always a speaker, and the speaker speaks. And there is a listener, and the listener, after listening to the speaker, turns out to be the reporter, and when he or she reports, he or she can do it in two different ways. One is direct and the other one is indirect. Direct means you quote the exact words of the speaker and communicate. Indirect means as an individual you use your own words and style and communicate the idea of what the speaker said to a third person. See, when we quote a book or an author, see what happens. See, for example, John Keats says, we put a comma, then we start inverted commas and says, okay, a thing of beauty is a joy forever. Why? Because we are borrowing the words of John Keats. We have no right to make any change in that. We can give explanations, but when we use the quote, we have to mark it with inverted commas. Okay? So I think it's very clear to you. I think I will be back with another video explaining the process of changing direct speech into indirect speech. Till then, goodbye and thank you.